And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play Let's Make a Deal Fantasy Football Edition with your host, Samuel Lee.
Thank you. Welcome to the first ever edition of Let's Make a Deal Fantasy Football Edition. I'm here with Samuel Lee, and we will recap all of the trades and deals that were made in just this past week. Let's get to it.
We are already on the Week 6 preview with Week 7 coming up. Season always goes by pretty quick, doesn't it? Always does. I had to double check when the trade deadline was. We saw all these trades popping off. I'm like, damn, it's the trade deadline coming up, but it's not till November 29th. So if you haven't made a deal yet, you have time. But let's see who did make deals. Really, let's see who didn't make deals. If you did make a trade, I mean, you're just not as cool as the people that did make trades, I guess. So we are going to start off with, and I'm sorry that I'm still not in, a little costume, but it is what it is. We're going to start off with the very first trade that kind of broke the ice. Felice Najee acquires one of the hottest wide receivers in fantasy football this year, DJ Moore, for Joe Mixon. Scranton Stranglers gets Joe Mixon. So, interesting little trade there. Pretty decent. Scranton Stranglers really needed a running back. So, and he had a plethora of wide receiver talent. So, good deal for both teams. Felice Najee was not done. She then acquires the Lions defense special teams to her husband for Jameson Williams. So Jesse, me and my homies, got Jameson Williams. So little Lions swappage there. She was not done. Felice Najee acquires running back Jaylen Warren of the Steelers to her husband once again, me and my homies, and he gets Tyler Lockett. I really like that trade. I think pretty even trade there. Lockett's been a solid veteran for the past couple years, fantasy-wise. And Jaylen Warren is kind of starting to share the touches with Najee Harris. So now she's got the Steelers running back. So, worked out good. And that was all before Week 6. Now, after Week 6, I kind of took the reins from Molly. Started being the trader of the week. Blockbuster trade here. I acquired CJ Stroud, his wide receiver Nico Collins, and rookie tight end sensation Sam Laporta, second Sam on the team. Yeah, gotta collect all the Sams. I acquired those three guys from Trey. Cut My Balls, and Cut My Balls acquires Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and Calvin Ridley. Blockbuster deal, or should I say Brockbuster deal. Pretty interesting, nice little, pretty generous swap with, I got the Texans quarterback and their number one wide receiver, and Cut My Balls gets the 49ers quarterback and one of his better targets, George Kittle. And then I guess you could say, well, really, I feel like we swapped Ridley for Collins, but it's kind of hard to, because it was quarterback for quarterback, tight end for tight end, wide receiver. So, and then later that evening, I acquired Devontae Smith from me and my homies, and I gave up Ramondre Stevenson and Michael Thomas. So a little 2-for-1. I had some guys on my roster that I didn't want to drop, so I'm like, well, I could just trade them. So my whole idea was to trade two guys, get one guy back, just so I could make a roster move to pick up someone. And I also have an activation I can make from the IR. Unfortunately, it's not Achane, but still a running back. But I think I'll probably keep him in the IR. I don't think he'll be a big factor this Thursday today, if he even plays. So, but yeah, let's make a deal. Pretty fun little segment. So if we get some more tradings like that in a short amount of time, you might see the game host back for an episode 2. All right. Well, honestly, that was kind of the most entertaining thing that happened in fantasy football in week 6 was all of our tie-rated trades. This was pretty low-scoring week, kind of like week 1 was, but nonetheless still exciting. We'll start off with a guy who has his 3rd game this season of scoring 133 points or more, and only 2 other teams have done that. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you rubbing out a win. Great job. Rubbed out another win, his 3rd win of the season. He wins 141 to 127 over Cut My Balls, who I said is the most feared team in the league last week. Rubbing out a win said, hold my beer. Hold my green tea grapefruit on sale clearance at Walmart. It's got a lot of collagen in it. I kind of need that. Outstanding win. I thought this was the best one of the week out of any of the teams. Great matchup. They're both 3-3 now. Let's see. Randy had 5 guys with 16 or more points, including Raheem Mostert. I'm glad he's taking good care of him. The Chiefs' defense special teams had 16 points too. So did quarterback Desmond Ridder. He's kind of been on the rise a little bit. Fortunate through 3 interceptions last Sunday against Washington, but fantasy-wise, he's creeping up there. Somehow he only got 1 point from his kicker, who's been one of the better kickers this year, Jake Elliott for the Eagles. But his punter got him 13 points. Unfortunately, he did have an injury come about. David Montgomery got hurt. And for Raheem Mostert, he scored the most points out of anyone in week 6. As for Cut My Balls, he had the 3rd highest points in week 6. Lost to the 2nd highest points guy. Tough. He had a couple injuries as well. Christian McCaffrey left the game. Justin Fields left the game. Looks like Fields could be out a couple weeks. However, Cooper Kupp did not get hurt, and he led all the scoring personnel with 27 points, which was the 5th most in week 6. We're going to move on to one of our matchups of the week. The Scranton Stranglers against Just Josh and You. Scranton Stranglers collects his 4th win of the season. 4 wins, the 2nd most in the league. Adam Thielen. Do you guys know Adam Thielen is ranked 3rd among wide receivers in fantasy this year? Who would have guessed that? I bet a lot of teams didn't even draft him. That is insane. 28.5 points. That was the 3rd highest in week 6. Garrett Wilson had a nice game for him, 17 points. He had a very strong... Oh, the final score is 113 to 101. I don't think I ever said that, but you see it's dropped in there anyway. His bench had 77.2 points, so he's got some good depth. Adam Thielen, man, just keeps going off, and he's having like a high amount of receptions too. Like he probably has some of the most receptions in the NFL. Insane. Love to see it from a Panthers fan. Even though we don't have a win yet, but I count that as a small win. As for Just Joshua, he unfortunately goes down to 2-4 now. However, Travis Etienne is staying hot. 23.3 points this week. Someone who has not been hot is Devontae Adams somehow. I'm kind of pissed off too, Josh, because I have him on one of my teams. I'm 1-5 in that league now. So, just because he's underplayed and I've been starting the wrong guys, go figure. So, we'll get to that in a little bit. He only had 4.9 points, unfortunately. So, looks like the two have kind of flip-flopped a little bit, but hopefully they'll kind of, come together, be on the same page, have a high week, just like Josh did in, week 3. So, the second matchup of the week. Hurts Locker against Kirk Thuggins. It was a close one. Another close one here. The last matchup of the week was decided by 12 points. This also decided by 12 points. Hurts Locker puts Kirk Thuggins in the Hurts Locker. He wins 107 to 95. Justin Tucker he's been kind of cold fantasy-wise all season. But he comes through with 19 points in England. Cheerio. Zach Moss, dude. 17.9 points. He is the fifth. He's ranked fifth in all running backs in fantasy football. Zach Moss. Even with Jonathan Taylor back, he's still putting up great numbers. So, Kelsey didn't want to be in the video, but someone's camera shot. Unfortunately, he did suffer a small casualty. Deebo Samuel left the game with an injury. So he's questionable this week, so hopefully he plays for him. Hopefully not, because I think I'm playing him this week. So, but Deebo Samuel's one of my favorite players. I need to collect him next because I have 2 Sams and a last name Samuel. So I need to reel in Deebo Samuel. So we'll see. As for Kirk Thuggins, Breece Hall, he's riding that incline, baby. 20 points for him, led all for scores. She pretty much needed a Dallas defense miracle like she had in week 1 on Monday Night Football. She needed 18 points from Dallas' defense, and I feel like they're actually averaging kind of close to 18 or close to it. But I think they only got like 6 points or something like that. So, but we're gonna move on to another matchup of the week. Now, I only listed 2 last video, but this matchup of the week is matchup. It's not really a matchup of the week, but had some criticalness to it. It was the battle for last between me and Felice Najee Dodd. And how well is your team? Well, my team was well enough to win once again. 2 wins in a row now. I went 101.8 to 93.98. Had to bring the decimals out for this one. Before Monday Night Football, it was 74.9 to 72.9 in favor of Molly. Luckily, she had 1 player and I had 2 players. However, she had Justin Herbert and I had CeeDee Lamb and Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler coming off of injury, so not really sure how they're going to use him or how much they would use him. But they used him enough for me to get the win. CeeDee Lamb led all my scoring with 18.7 points. I'm glad he had a big game. Dak Prescott had a great game. Unfortunately, he was on my bench. Speaking of my bench, not only was Dak Prescott's 25 points on my bench, I had a combined 122 points on my bench. That probably is some of the most bench points in the history of the Famleegue. I think Trey last year had about that many in one of his weeks where his bench outscored his starters. Doesn't happen often. It really sucks when it happens, but luckily I still won. I will take it. That was just pure luck. 122 bench points. I had on my bench, I had the number 1 highest scoring quarterback in week 6, which is Dak Prescott. The number 2 highest scoring tight end, Dalton Schultz. And the number 6 highest scoring wide receiver in Drake London. I'm just glad I still won. I would have been really pissed off. I would have just thrown the season away. I feel like if I had lost that matchup, having all those bench points and lost. So I don't know. I'll tell you, one guy who was really in the clutch for me winning that didn't play Monday night was my kicker Brett Maher. 15 points. He's kind of a reliable kicker, so I'm not jinxing myself, but he was good for me last year too. Even though I didn't make playoffs last year, but Brett Maher, man, he's got it. If he's available in some of your other leagues, I'd maybe pick him up. As for Felice Najee Dodd, she did actually have a chance in the 4th quarter with Herbert coming back. She was only down 6 points, and they had the ball late in the 4th quarter. I think they were on maybe their own 20. So if he would driven down the field and scored a touchdown, it would have been toast. I would have lost. But his second throw, he threw an interception. And not only did it help me in this league, in another league I'm in, this person I was playing, they were up on me by 1 point. They had Justin Herbert. He threw that interception. It was -2. So I ended up winning. So I was really excited when I saw that Herbert interception. No offense, Justin Herbert. So pretty wild how it was me versus Molly, because then Kelsey and Jesse faced off. So it was the Lees versus the Cullums this week. And we actually had them over on Sunday, so we were all watching the games together and stuff. But I'm usually good about like taking videos and pictures and stuff, but I unfortunately didn't. Kelsey took a video, but she didn't save on Snapchat, but it's okay. They were there, I promise. But yeah, we had a good old time. Kelsey and I had a better time than they did. Kelsey went on to beat Jesse for the Lee sweep, 126 to 106. It's pretty crazy how we were playing each other in the same week. You know, I just like randomized the schedule for this year, and yeah, pretty wild. As for Smoking Joe, I sound like a broken record. Tyreek Hill led her scoring, 28 points this time. However, he did suffer a back injury from carrying Kelsey's team. She actually did have a legit injury, though. Kyron Williams scored 21, had 158 rushing yards. I think he hurt his back, too, from carrying the team with the running game. Looks like he's going to be out a couple weeks. So, unfortunate blow to her. But he did 21 points is solid. As for me and my homies, almost a broken record for him, too. Stephon Diggs led his team all scoring 20 points. He's hoping that his new acquisitions will kind of help propel him to victory next week. And for the last matchup, Allens versus Predators, our fearless co-leader, can he stay with Kelsey in first place? And of course he does. He wins 151 to 99, led all scoring in week 6. I think this might be his third week he's like led all scoring. He's just firing on all cylinders. Absolutely just crushing it. He's actually the team to beat, obviously. Amon-Ra St. Brown came back from an injury, scored 30 points. Second highest in all of week 6. Harrison Butker, 18 points on Thursday. Nice little advantage there on Thursday night. And this is just how you know it's just going your way. He picked up Salvon Ahmed, who's a running back on the Dolphins. Dolphins, you know, without Achane, obviously. Mostert was going to get the most carries. Then Jeff Wilson Jr. is slated to come back, but he actually got hurt too. So Salvon Ahmed moved up to the backup, and he scored a fourth quarter touchdown because they were up on the Panthers. So Dolphins put in their second string guys, and then of course he scored. So he ended up getting like 12.5 points for him. Pretty solid for a guy that didn't, you know, get many reps like in the season so far. And you know, that's how you just know it's going good for you. He's like, you know, I'm gonna just start this guy. Why not? 12.5 points. Bam. Would have been like second highest on my team this week. So, as for Amendola Oblongata, Tua Tagovailoa led his scorers with 22. Alrighty. Waiver wire. Nothing really too special. Could be special. A lot of running backs got picked up, so maybe some of these running backs that got picked up will end up doing well. Most intriguing guy is probably that Zach Evans guy in the Rams. It's going to be unsure how the Rams use their running backs. They have him. They got Royce Freeman. They signed back Darrell Henderson, who had been with the Rams for like 3 or 4 years. Rashawn Johnson. He's a rookie. I think maybe he could come into play. Bears are kind of hurting some of their running backs. Justin Fields is out too, so they're not going to be having a quarterback that's going to be running there. Oh, look who's not being camera shy. What'd you say? Yikes. A little bit of an accident. Kelsey take one for the team here. We're just about 50-50, you know. Anyway. What one interesting note that I acquired from the waiver wire is 3 teams made a claim on the Colts punter, Rigoberto Sanchez, and he's having like a mid fantasy season. It's just so funny that 3 teams just went after this like mid punter on the waiver wire. That's so funny. Congratulations to Amendola Oblongata, who got at him. It's pretty funny. Other running backs, Kareem Hunt, he had a pretty nice fantasy game. He might be back against the pretty hard San Francisco 49ers defense. And then also Jordan Mason, in case if McCaffrey isn't able to go or has plays me snaps, he's had a pretty solid couple of past games. So he could take the reins maybe this week. Week 7 preview. It's going to be a tough week for a lot of teams because there are 6 teams on a bye. The Panthers, the Bengals, the Texans, the Jets, the Cowboys, and the Titans, all on byes. So, very difficult week. There's a lot of teams that have there's a lot of teams that have at least one player, if not multiple players, on these 6 teams. If you look at my bench, ever since I made that trade, my bench is all buys except for like one guy. So, pretty wild. We always start off chronologically, so we'll do that again. And it just so happens to be the matchup of the week. Allens versus Predators, taking on his 5-1 record against the number 3 seed Scranton Stranglers, 4-2. And it's a close projection, 124 to 122. I looked at these projections yesterday, so it might be, you guys may have made some tweaks. Might be a little different, but it's close. And then we have the 2-4 seed going off. The sister battle. Sisterhood of fantasy football. Smokin' Joe against Kirk Thuggins. They're both projected 106. Now, Smokin' Joe has Darrell Henderson in her flex. They haven't put in projection points for him. They saw him as a free agent too last I checked. But the Rams are expected to elevate him from the practice squad up to the Rams. So we'll see if they throw a projection on there or not. We'll see if he actually does that. But after Shields were in some reports, I was in some reports, we saw that. So we'll see. Next is Cut My Balls against Felice Najee Dodd. 3-3 against 1-5. Cut My Balls projected to win 135 to 112. And then we have Hertz Locker against How Well Is Your Team, 6-8 seed. I'm projected to win 120 to 116. She is so beautiful. Then we have the 7-10 seed rubbing out a win, trying to stay hot against Amendola Oblongata. Amendola Oblongata is projected to win 127 to 124, however. And then last but not least, we have the 9-11 seed, just joshing you. Both 2-4 against me and my homies. So we'll see which one becomes 3-4, which one becomes 2-5, which one will rise, which one will kind of sink a little. It's projected 118 to 117. Me and my homies. Josh is always projected like within just a couple points. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, and all his matchups end up like pretty close too. So, but let's keep it close. Let's keep the family close. The Famleegue close. All right, guys. Well, I think that's all I have. So, let's enjoy another fabulous week of fantasy football, and we'll stay in touch with the group me and be safe and have a good time.